Alright, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about Sealed Resin Loop and the unique things it does beyond what it says in the description. So melee attacks can be cancelled mid-action by dodging. Obviously, you can do stuff with melee, like what I assume is already pretty well known. You can animation cancel your dodge, and this also works with Misty Step to give you some pretty insane speed. So this is without animation canceling, and this is with animation canceling, so much faster. The second thing you can do is slightly improve your DPS for melee weapons that rely on neutral backdash attacks, because you can cancel out of the animation after the effect goes off. So for example, with Spectral Blade, you can go like this, compared to no Sealed Resin Loop, where we have to wait for the whole attack to finish. It's even less obvious, even more obvious when I don't have Misty Step, so let's just show this again without Misty Step. And then with Sealed Resin Loop. And this gets even more noticeable as you add more attack speed. Now, what it doesn't say on the description of cancel out of melee attacks is that you can actually do this with specific abilities too. So for most of these, they're going to start the cast, but then you can roll during the cast to cancel out of the cast and not consume your skill, but you also will not cast the skill or get any buffs for it. So Death Wish is another skill that works like this, compared to no Sealed Resin Loop, where I'm locked into casting once I start. So for a full list of abilities that you can cancel: Ritualist, all skills can be cancelled. Medic, Wellspring, and Redemption can be cancelled. On Explorer, Gold Digger can be cancelled. Invoker, all skills. Hunter, Hunter's Mark, and Hunter's Focus. Challenger, War Stomp, and Juggernaut. And Archon, Reality Rune, and Chaos Gate. For skills you can't cancel, so you're locked in once you start casting, even with Sealed Resin Loop: Handler, all skills. Medic, Healing Shield. Explorer, Planeswalker, and Treasure Sense. Alchemist, all skills. Engineer, all skills, both deploying and overclocking in both turret form and heavy carry form. Gunslinger, Sidewinder, and Bulletstorm cannot be cancelled, and Challenger, Rampage cannot be cancelled, as well as Archon, Havoc form. Skills with no animation to cancel out of are all of Invader's skills and Hunter's Shroud, and Gunslinger Quick Draw is already cancelable by dodging. As for other stuff that Sealed Resin Loop lets you cancel out of, specifically mods that make you do that little backstep animation like Big Bang or Concussive Shot, you can roll out of that with Sealed Resin Loop, although I haven't found any other mods this works on, so this is a pretty specific application. And then compared to no Sealed Resin Loop, so that's probably not worth slotting a ring for, but it is an interesting interaction to be aware of. Now, the one archetype and skills I didn't mention are the ones that benefit the most from Sealed Resin Loop's animation canceling, and that is Summoner. So to break down how summoning works, summoning has a set time before the minion crawls out of the ground, and it's unaffected by cast speed or anything. But you are locked into a summoning animation based on your casting speed. However, what makes summoning different from all of the skills that interact with Sealed Resin Loop is that you can cancel out of the animation at any time after it starts going off, and the summon is still going to go through. So, like this. Your boy still is going to crawl out of the ground, and you can sacrifice him at the same time. So this really makes playing summon sacrifice builds a lot freer in terms of movement, I guess, because the only time you're actually locked into casting anything is sacrificing a minion, which you can also roll to cancel out of, although it won't actually cause the sacrifice to go through. So, just quickly for the rest of the stuff in this build. This build isn't really the point of this video, it's more to talk about Sealed Resin Loop and what it can do, but this is really the build that benefits from these special interactions the most. So we've got Way of Kaelula and minion Reaver because he's the best sacrifice, and we don't need Way of Lydusa to loop this skill. We've got Detonation Trigger for more explosion damage and burn damage. Really, there's not much else to put here. Burden of the Gambler is just here because we're using explosions, so we don't care about weak spots, so this is no downside. Sealed Resin Loop because of all of the special things that I just mentioned. Soul Feast to combine with the Visionary Prime perk to let us spam sacrifice, and Token of Favor just because we're using Monolith and Nebula because we don't use our guns, so of course we're using these two. Then the melee really does not matter at all. On the Relic we've got Profane Heart to get a ton of health back from each sacrifice because it does so much damage. And then the fragments are skill cooldown, skill damage, and casting speed for pretty obvious reasons. So overall, Sealed Resin Loop actually does a lot more than it implies just by this simple description. There's all the melee stuff like canceling your rolls to go faster, or just being able to cancel out of charge attacks or normal attacks to dodge a boss. But there's also more hidden things like being able to use it to increase your melee DPS, and also canceling out of specific casting animations of skills. Now, really the summoner is the one that benefits from this the most, but this also can help some skills be less committal to cast if you're a pure caster build, and that's something that you're worried about. On top of that, there's also the special interaction with the backstep mods like Big Bang, where you can cancel out of that, but that's pretty small and normally won't be worth sacrificing a ring slot for on those builds. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly go over the unique capabilities of Sealed Resin Loop and the ones that aren't as obvious from the description. So do with that information what you will, and enjoy.